Hello and welcome to Quick Dude Movie Reviews. This episode is dedicated to almost everyone's favorite crime comedy, The Gentleman. The film starts with a hard-boiled pickled egg and a pint of lager in a good old English pub. The man in a sharp suit drops a token into a jukebox to play his favorite record. And the next thing we see is a hitman blowing the man's head off, spilling the blood all over the traditional gastropub meal. The man shot is a charismatic and clever Mickey Pearson, an American who found a way to build up a business empire growing marijuana under fancy estates of aristocratic landlords. It's a good deal for both parties. Mickey builds his labs and pays decent rent to help dukes upkeep their massive homes. Mickey has a plan to sell his business and retire peacefully with his beloved wife Rosalind. A smart, modern, elegant, switched-up kind of urban woman and a trustful companion. She's all in and supports him in every endeavor. Mickey's business empire cost £400 million, and he decides to make an offer to an American billionaire and private investor Matthew Berger. The news that Mickey's business is up for sale invoke appetites of his rivals. Young and ambitious Chinese Mafia underboss who goes by the name Dry Eye decides to halt the deal. In the meanwhile, private detective Fletcher begins his investigation. The lippy and willy Dick tries to blackmail Pearson's right-hand man Raymond. He asks for £20 million in return for not telling it to the police and keeping his own mouth shut all the way. And then he goes and tells Ray everything he managed to snoop out. He reveals what he knows in a kind of a movie plot fashion. He describes Pearson as a simple, ordinary boy from a poor family trying to overcome the burden of his status by all means necessary. He knows that Mickey went to Oxford with little intent to study. He was much more keen on selling weed to his wealthy classmates. He goes on describing Mickey as someone with a strong, mindful, and cunning character. Someone desperate and determined. It only seems natural that he'd want to retire at the peak of his game. He then tells how it gets tight for Mickey. While he seems calm and covered, many parties are searching for a weak spot in his seemingly perfect scheme. It seems like everyone from hoodlums to dukes are trying to tear Pearson apart.
So how much?
Oh, no charge.
Okay, so what's the price?
A meet with your husband.
Oh, fuck off. That's not gonna happen.
Mickey's world starts to crumble when Dry Eye enters the game. The young Mafia man makes a bold proposal to buy out his business for much less than £400 million. Being used to honest deals and mutual respect, Mickey turns it down and tips Dry Eye to mind his own matters. However, such open refusal only makes the wild crook's blood boil.
Gosh.
I am not for sale.
To show his dominance, Dry Eye raids one of Mickey's largest farms. A team of young gangsters calling themselves the Toddlers, operating under the guidance of experienced and charismatic coach, invade the farm, shooting the entire process on camera. They make an entire music video out of it and upload it online. Mickey is furious. The video undermines his entire scheme. He has to find out who the culprits are, and fast. Once started to dig, he finds out that Dry Eye isn't the only one involved in this mess. The attack was a part of a much larger plan conducted by several large international figures. Trouble doesn't stop there. His landlord's daughter Laura has gone missing. She fell in love with a pop star and got hooked on heroin. She stuck herself up to the neck in crime, and so the old Duke asks Pearson to bring her back. This makes Dry Eye make a move and use the opportunity to make the man disclose locations of the farms and other Mickey secrets. Ray decides to act quick. He finds the girl among a group of addicts. As he tries to get her out of the jam, he bumps into a gang of drug dealers. This episode shows Ray's effective killer instinct. Not only he solves the task, but he also eliminates the trouble entirely, without a chance of it coming back. However, things go out of hand again when Laura's maid falls out of the window. His head hits the pavement, and pictures of his corpse are taken by local street teenagers. Ray goes out of his way and deals with the rest of unforeseen circumstances, but the girl still dies from an overdose. Mickey starts to receive offers from multiple parties. Rivals sense his vulnerability, making moves to push him off the market. Fully confident, Dry Eye decides to go even further and negotiates deals with Mickey's competitors overseas. At this point, things become much clearer. The war has just started.
I'll tell you how this plays out. You will drown, and then my Mossad crabs will eat you.
Loyal, cold-blooded Ray knows that they must act quick and be ruthless. He deals with the problem by first finding and catching the toddlers, and then seeks for an answer that would remind everyone that Mickey is the wrong guy to mess around with. The coach turns out to be almost like a random figure in the story. He's not a culprit, and he doesn't act out of greed or the desire to take over the market. He's merely interested in keeping the boys off trouble. So when he learns that the guys hit the wrong target, he truly regrets and wants to make things right again, and offers his companionship to Ray. This puts Coach and his team on Mickey's side. He brings the Chinaman who gave the leak and pointed to Dry Eye. The snitch escapes, jumps the fence, and got hit by a train. Mickey and Ray visit Dry Eye's boss, the Chinese gangster Lord George. Pearson accuses Lord George of killing people with a heavy narcotic that killed Laura. This doesn't seem to bother the Lord very much. As far as he's concerned, he didn't kill anybody directly, and therefore thinks he's in the clear, unlike Mickey, who tries to defend his views by claiming that marijuana is just a bit of fun. When the poison begins to flow, Mickey sets the gun barrel to Lord George's face. He proclaims his verdict and gives the old man the antidote. The warning plays well. When Lord confronts his subordinate, the latter doesn't shy away. Dry Eye announces the beginning of a new era, threatening the old man. After a brief say, George's own bodyguard shoots him dead. In the midst of trouble, Ray is confronted by Fletcher, who tries to blackmail him again. He tells everything he managed to put together so far. Turns out he knows all about the farms, he knows all about the Dukes and their weaknesses, and he knows everything about Mickey's top deals, all of which makes him a hot figure. He gives Ray 72 hours to get the money. It's either that, or everyone knows what he's up to. Also, if something happens to Fletcher, he makes the headlines the next day. And so Ray decides to flip things around and bugs Fletcher's boots to track him down.
Fletcher, shoes off inside. Leave them by the door.
Yes, Mummy.
Tired of constant pressure, Mickey Pearson decides to deal with his compatriots once and for all. The Americans were trying to undermine his business all along. Being aware of Dry Eye's threats, they organize an attempted murder. They send gunmen to eradicate the man in his daily life, but is always one step ahead. Mickey and Ray are on their way to save Rosalind, as she's being approached by 3 Chinese Mafia men. She bashed 2 of them with a paperweight, but there's Dry Eye, and he's there to rape. Mickey has an accident. He quickly leaves the car and runs as fast as he can. The savage rapist is about to do his foul deed. He already spread her on the table. Luckily, Mickey comes right on time. He sends 3 bullets into Dry Eye, stopped dead in his tracks. Blood splashes all over Rosalind. She is saved. Then Ray decides to punish Big Dave. He tells Coach to teach the man some manners. The editor of Daily Print leaves the office all happy after learning the news from Fletcher. The rest is easy. The toddlers bring a van to kidnap the victim. His bodyguard turned all yellow and looked himself up in the boss's car. Big Dave is outraged. He threatens and screams with a trembling voice. The man is clearly frightened. The toddlers brought their victim to the punishment spot. Some very disturbing things follow. The punishment method is quite symbolic. The editor is heavily drugged and put in the same cattle pen with a pig, where they have a lot of fun together. In the morning, the editor doesn't seem to remember much of what happened. The coach agrees to let him go, but first tells him to watch a short clip about him and a big pig. They leave him in the van with some hot tea and a laptop to witness humiliation and threatened to make it available for all to see if Dave doesn't forget about Mickey. The video caused quite a reaction.
You know what bit that is?
After getting rid of Big Dave, Mickey establishes order once again. Ray asks Coach to do him another favor, but the latter says that he's not a gangster and he just wants to help his lad stay off trouble. He agrees after all, under condition that it's the third and final favor. After trying to influence the outcome through Dry Eye and American Gangsters, Matthew Berger becomes Mickey's next target. He invites Berger to business dinner that in fact turns into a deadly game of psychological play. Mickey deliberately threatens Berger, telling him like it is. Upon realizing the kind of mess he got himself into, Berger decides to try and bargain. He insists on his own innocence after being showed a frozen corpse of a Chinaman. And then Mickey goes on offense. He shows compromising tapes where Berger negotiates with the man, offering a deal, paying enormous amounts, and cutting a bit of himself in a ritual. That is a price to pay for the rape and innocent blood spill. This not only covers Mickey's expenses, but empties financial reserves of his competitor.
As stated, I am not emotional about the money, but I am emotional about the fact that someone laid their hands on my wife. My wife!
The sneaky Fletcher was playing his game all along up to this point. He gathered information about Mickey and tried to blackmail Ray, but ended up pawn in a stronger man's game. When his tryouts to get £20 million fail, he decides to sell the dirt to competitors, but it fails again. Ray, who's been watching his every step, found a way to take all the data and original evidence and put Fletcher in a freezer. This way, he learns that the assassins were in fact Russians. Fletcher made a deal with the dead boy's father to organize another attempt to kill Mickey, who was supposed to blow while starting a car.
Dave?
Dave? No, Dave.
The message comes too late. The boss is already inside. Fletcher flees as the hustle unfolds. Coach receives a message from toddlers and kills the mercenaries, showing Ray the finger. He returns the favor in full after his boys block the road with their van and put holes through the windshield. Mickey ducks just in time. The film ends drawing a line under the whole story, showing Mickey come out as a winner in this intricate game. Not only did he manage to save his business, but he also dealt with his opponents, protecting his farms, making his rivals dread his name once more. Fletcher was left quite pleased with himself. His failure only opened a new kind of possibility for him. He came to Hollywood with a clear intention to make a movie based on all of the material that he managed to gather. He had a perfect plan in his mind. Real life-based criminal drama thought through to the last detail was bound to be a success. He came into producer's office with the look of a man who has the key from all the mysteries of the universe. Holding his neatly folded screenplay, he reeked self-content. His behavior spoke like he felt as an architect of this complex web of events, finally ready to bring it forth like something big. He brought all the photos and schemes, not hiding the fact that they're dealing with real-life mafia affairs. So he presented it as a kind of a unique plot with potential to become true sensation if handled with care by the right director. It seemed like his story was unfolding right there at the very moment on that very table. All those killings and bosses and the story of violence and deception did seem like a valuable script. Finally, he found a way to put his manipulation skills to use. The producer's willingness to listen made egomaniac inside of him love it. It wasn't just a chance for success. It was in fact a chance to leave his own mark in history of mankind through Scream. Fletcher wasn't merely looking for profit. This was a turning step in his career, a step away from dirty intrigues towards art. He thought he was in full control of the situation and felt invincible leaving the office, as if he made the best move in his life. There is one less surprise awaits in the taxicab, where Ray is the driver. Fletcher is very confused to say the least, although he quickly puts himself together. There's no way he can leave, the doors are shut. Trapped in the web of his own making, Ray offers him to play a game, Rosalind plays a crucial role in this conclusion. She becomes a kind of a symbol for his motivation. In the final scene, we see them both in the room where she mentions Fletcher, and Mickey ending the film with philosophy told to him by his wife, something that helps him to be himself. There must be no doubt. It is only with self-confidence one can reach the top.